Hello! Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a little bit of a different video than I have done before. I'm going to be talking about literary baby names that I really like. I've seen a lot of videos like this going around where people talk about just general baby names that they like and may or may not use. But I thought it would be really interesting to talk about specifically some of the literary inspired baby names that I enjoy. A lot of people might not know this, but I'm actually currently pregnant. I'm in my 3rd trimester, so I am thinking about baby names. These are inspired by authors, characters, books in general. I'm first going to start with some of the boy names that I like that are literary inspired. The first name that I've always really liked is the name Amory. And this name is from This Side of Paradise by F. Scott Fitzgerald, and it's inspired by the main character Amory Blaine. And ever since reading that book, I just really liked that name. It kind of to me evoked like amour, so it feels like love when you hear it. I don't know that I would actually use it for my child. When I try to say it out loud, like I would call it a playground, it's a little bit hard for me. So as much as I like it, I don't think I would use it. But I really do enjoy that name, and I think that that would be a fun name to use for a boy. I mean, you could honestly use it for a girl too. The next name that I really like for a boy is Henry, which is a pretty classic name, and it's definitely inspired by Henry David Thoreau. But for me personally, I think a lot of Henry Jekyll from Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, which you might not want your child to be like, but I just really like the name Henry. Honestly, there are so many literary references to Henry, but I think for me, the two that come to mind are Henry David Thoreau and Henry Jekyll from Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. In general though, I think this is a nice name because it's just really classic. The next literary inspired name that I really like is Holden. Of course, from Holden Caulfield in The Catcher in the Rye. This is another name that I just like the way that it sounds. I think it's a really cute name for a little boy, and I think I can definitely also picture like an adult son going by Holden. Unfortunately, it doesn't really sound good with my last name, so I don't think I would ever actually use it because it just doesn't flow super nicely, but I do really like that name for a boy. I've always liked that name for a boy, and I wish it went better with my last name. The next name that I really like for a boy that definitely has a lot of literary ties is Charlie, or Charles would probably be the full name, but I really like the name Charlie. Kind of like Henry, this just feels really classic to me, like it would age really well. Obviously, the name kind of has ties with Charles Dickens, but in a more playful way, definitely also Charlie from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. But there are honestly so many literary characters and authors and references to the name Charlie that I feel like that's a really good one that you could definitely tie to a literary reference. Actually, I think Charlie is also a really cute name for a little girl. Like it could be short for Charlotte, like Charlotte from Charlotte's Web. That would be another great way to tie it in to a literary reference. It's a really cute name, and I definitely think that it is a really nice choice. It's kind of a quirkier choice for a girl and a really classic choice for a boy, so I like that. But anyway, that's a really good transition into some of the girl names on my list. Girl names that are inspired by literary references. Probably the first one that I think of is Winnie, as in Winnie the Pooh, but this could also be a reference to the character Winnie from Tuck Everlasting. And I really like this name for a little girl, and I think that you could have it be short for Winifred, which is a little bit more classic, but I also think that it would be really sweet to have it be short for the name Winter, which I like a lot because it is my favorite season. But this name actually means like fair or fair one, and supposedly it also means happiness, and Winifred means friend. So I think that that's kind of a sweet name too. Not only does it have the literary connections, but it also has just a really nice meaning. I like that one a lot. The next literary inspired girl's name is Daisy, from Daisy Buchanan, obviously, The Great Gatsby. I think she's the most famous Daisy of all time. I don't know. I think this is a really, really cute name for a little girl. I think it's so sweet. This was vetoed by my husband for sure, which is okay because I don't know that I would really want to use it anyway. But I do think it's a really cute name. I don't know. I don't think I would use it, but I still really, really like it. The next name is Emma, and this is a reference to a lot of different literary characters, but the one that comes to mind is Emma Woodhouse from Emma by Jane Austen, and this is one of my favorite names too. This kind of reminds me of Henry and Charlie in that it's just really classic and it feels like it would just age really well and be really timeless. And I also like that it means universal because I feel like in a lot of ways it is a universal name. I see it in like a lot of different people, and so I really like the name Emma, and it just rolls off the tongue really nicely. It sounds good with my last name, but I'm not sure if I would use it or not. It's still up in the air. I'm undecided, but I do really, really like that name, and it has a ton of literary references. The next name on this list is Briar, which is kind of a little bit more out there than some of these other names, but I think it's a really cute name. And it's a reference to Little Briar Rose, which is the original Sleeping Beauty. So I really like that reference, that it has that fairy tale reference, but I also just think it's such a sweet sounding name. You could go with Briar Rose. Briar means a prickly shrub, and rose is obviously a rose, so I like the juxtaposition of like a rose surrounded by prickly shrubs. Something about that is really, really sweet. And the last name on this list is the name Lily, which I love this name so much. I think it is such a sweet name for a little girl. And of course there's like a literary connection to Harry Potter. I'm sure there's other literary references as well, but that's the one that comes to my mind. That's not necessarily why I like it, but that's the reference that comes to my mind. And I think that that's another name that feels really feminine, classic, sweet, and would be a great name for a little girl. However, I'm still not sure if I would use it or not, because there's just so many names to choose from. It's kind of hard to decide. Anyway, that is it for my list of literary inspired names that I really, really like. I'm sure there are others that I enjoy as well, but those are some of my absolute favorites. And I would love to hear if you also have literary inspired names that you really enjoy. If you also like any of these names, let me know. And that is going to be it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you later. Are you kidding me? How are you allowed to be that cute?